Hello everybody, Infernape Shinjo here, and I am here to discuss the Sinnoh Pokemon anime. And like I've certainly not kept hidden on this channel, I really like the Sinnoh anime. But at the same time, there were some things that I was able to find that I just wasn't a big fan of. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get into this discussion. So for the Sinnoh anime, I still watched primarily the dub of it. Although I did start dabbling into the sub of it, especially listening to the first opening. But watching the dub of this, I can certainly say that the voice actors and actresses got accustomed to their roles, especially Ash. And overall, the other thing that I feel like everybody discusses with this anime, the rivalry between Ash and Paul. It was done so good. The only thing that I would say that needed work with it is for Ash to get at least one more win against Paul. Because they battled, I would say, at least half a dozen times in the season. And the only real times that Ash actually comes out on top were the Sinnoh League itself and that random orienteering contest where his Staravia evolves into a Staraptor. So I feel like just giving Ash one more win against Paul would have solidified their rivalry at least a little bit more, because it didn't just boil down to Paul beats Ash again. The other thing that I liked is the rivals in this series had fun and clearly defined personalities. Gee, that actually took a lot shorter time than I expected. Let's get on to the cons, and this is where I'm a bit surprised because I ended up writing down a lot more for cons than I did for pros. The first one, the obvious one, the filler in this season. I know that people talked about this. There was like probably at least a year gap in between Ash's 7th and 8th gym battle, I believe. I know it was a long time, but to be fair, Ash battled the gym once, but the power went out, so they left and then came back or whatever. But like, there was a lot of filler in this part of the show. And to be fair, a lot of it isn't really that memorable. Like, okay, they go to school a couple of times. Cool, don't really remember it. The next thing that I didn't like is Ash bringing his old Pokemon back for the league. Now hear me out on this one. I'm not doing a hot take, I swear. But Ash bringing back his old Mons should have been a bigger deal than what it was. Because they had the episode where Ash reunites with some of his old Mons. His battle against Nando was great because it actually showed Heracross battling. But none of his non-Sinnoh Mons really got to shine when he battled Conway or Paul. Now with Paul I get it because he wanted to use the team that he battled him with before. But Conway, the one that really took home the spotlight with that one, was Ash's Gibble. I feel like if they would have done something where they brought Bayleaf or Totodile, for example, because Ash already evolved his Cyndaquil when battling Team Rocket before the league, so I feel like having Totodile battle and actually evolve into Croconaw would have been a little bit better in my opinion. Now aside from the problems that I already brought up, Ash had a pretty good rivalry with Paul. He had a good one with Nando at the same time, even though they didn't really battle as much. They at least battled in his debut, and then they battled again at the league, and even Barry, even though he was introduced a little bit later. But I've just always felt that his rivalry with Conway really didn't have much. Because they meet Conway in the school, they never battle there. They meet Conway in the Heart Home Tag Battle Tournament. And he actually faces Conway there, but it's him and Paul versus Conway and Dawn. Ash never battled Conway in a one-on-one fight before the league. And I get that Paul's his main rival, but if you want to try and make Conway seem like a rival, at least have him battle Ash a couple of times before the league in one-on-one matches. And of course, the biggest one, the end of the Sinnoh League. And I feel like I'm not alone in saying this. Ash should have faced one of his clearly established rivals in the league finals, instead of somebody that just uses an action replay to get a Darkrai and a Latios. Initially I wrote that Ash should have faced Paul in the finals, but that would have basically meant that Ash had to win, so that way it would clean up their journey in a nice and satisfying way. So instead, maybe have Ash face somebody like Nando or Conway in the finals and have them win. At least with that, it would be a rival that was clearly already established. But overall, I will say that it was a great season when it comes to some of the rivals and developing Ash and Paul's rivalry. But unfortunately, the large amount of filler that was between some gym battles really halted the flow of the series, especially since a lot of the filler didn't really do much. I feel like what they should have done instead is take that filler in between the gym battles and use that to give Ash a win against Paul and develop his rivalry with Conway. I feel like if they would have done that and give Ash an actual rival that he's met before to face in the finals, then Sinnoh would have been at least a little better of an anime. At the same time, everybody has problems, but I feel like just taking those minor things would have at least fixed it up a little bit more and made it more satisfying. But that is my review on the Sinnoh anime, and like I said, it turned out to be a lot more negative than I thought, but at the same time, there's still a lot of good from the show. I just felt like it was only important to highlight the big highlights of it. But let me know what you think about the Sinnoh anime. If you enjoyed, hit that like button down below, and fasten your seatbelts, because next time, we're discussing the Unova anime. That's gonna be a fun time. Momentai.